today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday, June 28th. We are 1 week away from the 4th of July weekend. I am very excited. I am off from work Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I look forward to taking a break and hopefully see some good fireworks go off at least. Let's see what happens. I apologize for not making a video last week. I had nothing to talk about. It was very odd. I did make an appearance last week along with Alex, Bowman 53, and Rocket J Rick 18, and Mike, the Sports History Collector, and the Drew, and we all participated in Hobby Palooza on Alex's Card Room Live video on the 4 Collectors channel. If you didn't see it, I'm going to leave a link. We had a lot of good time showing off a lot of fun cards. And it's always fun to just hang with collectors and take a look at cards and talk about cards. And it was just a good time. So I was really happy to participate. It's been a quiet couple of weeks. I have not bought much, and it's probably just because I haven't been to many shows since in the last few weeks, and I have another show. I'll be in Northern California in a couple of weeks. Plan to hit a show up there and see what it's like to go to a show up north. See if I see different dealers. Hopefully I do. But it's just been quiet. I've bought a couple of cards, and it's been kind of nice though to take a break. Like I said, a few cards have popped up, and that's the reason I am making a video today, because I did get a card that actually I was hoping I'd have last week, so I could have made a show. But since the card didn't arrive till like 2 days ago, I had to wait till this weekend to make the video for you guys. So it's been a very quiet time, and I'm going to turn the camera around quickly today just because I've already recorded the video that I'm going to show you, and it's about 20-25 minutes. We're going to show off my 1963 Topps collection. Mike from Scoots Collectibles, I have finished the set. He's always commenting, when are you going to finish this thing? And I finally finished it. So Mike, I'm going to show you and everybody else my 1963 Topps collection. So let's turn the camera around and take a look. So let's take a look at the 1963 Topps set. As you can see here, I have my graded cards. We'll go ahead and set those aside. I'll share those with you last. And what we'll do is we'll go through the set from the first card to the last card, and just talk a little about some of the cards, some of the what the 1963 set is about, all those type of fun things. So just to start off, this set is 576 cards, which is roughly 10 to 20 cards smaller than the previous 2 sets. I'll explain that to you near the end. But as we get going here, we see that the 63 Topps Series 1 starts off with league leaders. And I'm going to highlight this card more when I get the graded version shown to you. But we got some interesting cards here, and my one complaint about this set would probably be the hanging heads, but you get used to them after a while. Series 1 is card numbers 1 through 109. And by this point, we have expansion is done for the moment. So the Mets, you have guys like Choo Choo Coleman in Mets uniforms. You'll see Los Angeles Angels in their Angels uniforms. And we start to see less of the capless cards that we saw a lot in 1960, 61, and 62. So there's team cards here of all the teams. And one of my favorite things about 60 sets are these combo cards here. In this case, we have Casey Stengel and Gene Woodling, 2 former New York Yankees, now in the Mets. And those combo cards are littered throughout the series, as are the rookie stars. And when we get to Series 7, you'll notice a lot of more of the high-end rookies. There's Elston Howard He won Rookie of the Year that year. This card here was taken in Series 1. If it had been taken used in a different series, they probably would have both been in Mets uniforms. But at this point, they're friendly foes, Duke Snider and Gil Hodges. At the time, Snider was still on the Dodgers, and he was traded in spring training to the Mets. So they eventually became teammates again for 1 year. And here is our first checklist for Series 1. When I am building sets, I do tend to, I want clean checklists. So sometimes that means you're paying a little bit more for cards. And I just don't want marked up cards. I used to mark up checklists religiously as a kid, but with my sets now, I don't want that. And here's the Series 2 checklist, which is also featured in Series 1. Series 2 is card numbers 110 through 196. There's Hoyt Wilhelm. Now you'll notice here I have a blank. That means that I have a graded card. Now normally what I'll do is, and I'll show you before I show you my graded cards, I'll show you an example of a 1965 card, what I do for graded cards, how I put them in binders. So you're going to see some blanks here. It doesn't mean I don't have the card. It just means I'm going to show you a graded card later. Same up here. There's Frank Howard, Bob Uecker, Robin Roberts. And we're still here very early in Series 2. Richie Ashburn, Dick Groat. This is a good looking set, you guys. I highly recommend this if you're thinking of starting a 60 set. 1965 would be my favorite. Stan Musial and Willie Mays and a combo card up here. But this is a nice looking set with the photograph. You get the main photograph and you have the smaller photograph here. The colors are nice. Next subset, 1960. It's the 1962 World Series. Here, I will say I wish they had a better photo for Game 7, but that's just the way it is. And I wish there was a mantle card. But here's another one of the subsets in Series 2. And then we have Walter Alston and rookie stars, some team cards. Jim Cott, Jim Fregosi, one of my favorite players growing up on the Angels. And we go through, and I could tell there's going to be, that's a graded card right there. Joe Pepitone for my Yankee friends out there. And my Seinfeld friends, because they seem to talk about him a lot on that show. Series 4, make that Series 3, is card numbers 197 through 283. And that's what we're going right now. As we just keep looking, there's Luis Aparicio, Hobie Landreth. I think he might have been the Mets' very first pick. I could be wrong there. Tiger Twirlers. I like those. Tigers are different uniforms, road uniforms back then. Don Mossy in the middle. I've never heard of him before. Jim Bunning and Frank Laurie. Cookie Rojas. Great to look at some of these cards. I love the profiles. Look at Eli Gerba with his sunglasses on. I tend to think that there are some players that wore sunglasses back then because they had to. I think it was an eye issue. So I generally try not to judge. When I first started this set right here, Rocky Calavito, that was a hard card to get. That was a hard card to find for some reason. I did find it early, but I had to spend some good money. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. I still consider him a great player. It's just a different one just a hard one to get. There's Gil Hodges, Ron Santo, some more rookies here. Alvin Dark, Vada Pinson, Felipe Alou, as we are approaching Series 4. Here's our checklist for Series 4. Now, the one thing that I always find interesting is I'm being told Series 4 is card numbers 284 to 370. But when you look at this card here, it's Series 4 starts at 265 and ends at 352. So there's always kind of discrepancies here. And I noticed that with the 61 high numbers. So there's nothing I can do about that now. We're talking about something from 60 years ago. Bill Rigney. So the managers don't get a photo. They get the logo. And I like the logo there as well. I think that's a good looking, I think that's just a nice aspect. Hall of Famer Whitey Herzog. He was on the Tigers by this point. I don't know much about him when he played. I only know about him more as a coach. He was a third base coach with the Angels at one point in the 70s. Then he became a Hall of Fame manager. Elston Howard again, Earl Batty. As we're going through Series 4. Jim Brewer, one of my favorite Dodger players growing up. He was on the Cubs at that point. Gene Mauch, 1 year before his disastrous 1964 season. Warren Spahn. One thing I did try on this set, not all the cards, but I didn't buy as many graded cards as I normally do, but I still found myself buying more than I expected. I only thought I'd do guys like Mantle and Mays and Aaron, and I ended up doing others, and I'll explain to you that when you see the cards, because they usually have a story behind it. This card I really like, this combo card. It's not a World Series card. Series foes, Bill Stafford and Billy Pierce. I just like that one. I wish they had done that more often. Leon Wagner on the Angels. One of their first great players and one of the first great players they traded away. As we are now in Series 5, which is card numbers 371 to 486. There's Brooks Robinson, there's Joe Torre. Johnny Pesky is now a manager at that point with the Red Sox. Billy Williams, Dean Chance, another great player that the Angels had early on, and they traded him to the Twins for Don Michener. Here we go, and here's our 5th series checklist. Here's Jim Bunning. When I first started this set, I bought a lot. I think a starting lot of maybe 300. And this was a pretty easy set to build. It tends to get difficult at points. But I would say out of 576, I would say the first 500, 525 weren't difficult to get. Sometimes they're not cheap. Tribe Thumpers, I liked that one. They're not cheap, but also this isn't that expensive of a set. I will be honest, I was fortunate enough. There's Frank Robinson. I've owned the Pete Rose rookie for several years. If you start the set now, Pete Rose is going to cost you a lot of money. I will say that. One of my favorite cards down here, Dodgers Big Three, Johnny Padres, Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, Lou Burdette. And we're approaching Series 6. And Series 6, which starts at card number 447 to 522, this is when things start getting a little difficult in that we don't find as many cards as we do by this point, that we did earlier in the season. So Series 6 is actually, I believe Series 6 might be more scarce than Series 7. Not quite sure on that. But these were harder to find. This guy, Tom Trash, I talked about him on several episodes. That was a hard card to find at a good price, especially just because it seemed like every time I wanted him, somebody really wanted a lot more money than I really wanted to pay. Lou Brock. Lou Brock was another one that wasn't cheap. I kept saying, why is this card so expensive? And I found out that Series 6 is a little bit more scarce. As we keep going, more rookies. Kansas City A's. These are the last cards with these colors. In fact, when we get to the high numbers, we get to see the very first Kansas City A's card in the green and yellow. And here starts roughly around here. we start the final series. Card numbers 523 to 576. Right here with Bill Kunkel. Here's where your high numbers are. There's Nellie Fox, Don Mossy. Let's see, Jim Perry, a very young Jim Perry. Wayne Causey, the one and only A's card with the green and yellow uniform. He was the very first card featured with these colors. By this point, Charlie Finley had bought the team. And we see a lot of rookies here. Rusty Staub. I bought this card years ago because I needed this Dodger player right here. So that's why I found him. And the reason I had the Pete Rose card was because I needed the Ken McMullen card. Let's see here. We're getting near the end. Here's the Dave McNally rookie. Again, the only reason I bought this card is because Ken Rowe was a Dodger rookie card. So I bought several of these rookie cards years ago. And as we get near the end here, Johnny Temple is the very last card. And I always put a sheet at the back and then one in the very front just to give some space between the cards and the actual binder. So what I'm going to do is set up a new shot here. I'll be right back and we'll take a look at the graded cards from this set. So showing these graded cards, like I said, I didn't expect to buy this many, but I did just because... I'll explain. This card I bought years ago before I even started a set. I wanted, this card has 5 Hall of Famers on it. Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks, and Orlando Cepeda. And I desperately wanted that in my collection several years ago, and I bought it. And then I ended up building the set. I already had the great ungraded card, so that's in the binder. Carl Yastrzemski. In a PSA 6. This card I bought because I found it cheaper graded than I did graded. And I think I bought this from the batter's box when they were having a 15% off sale. And I'm assuming they're going to have another one coming up with 4th of July approaching. And it was too good of a price, especially at 15% off, so I bought it. Now this next card, the next few actually, Roger Maris in a PSA 6. I bought this from an auction that I won. Wasn't expecting it to win. I seriously put in a very low bid and I won. Honestly, I want to say I paid like maybe $30 for this card. I'm not sure. But I won this one. The next card I'm about to show you. There's one more later on down the road. This Bomber's Best with Mickey Mantle, Bobby Richardson, and Tom Trush. This one I got a really good deal. Not as good as the Maris, that's for sure. But I got this at a very good price. There was no way I could pass up on it. And then the next guy, here's another Mickey Mantle card. I just won this on eBay. It was just too good of a price to pass up. And like any set I work on, once I get the Mantle, I feel like it's downhill after that. It's just so funny. But was able to pick up this Mantle. Probably one of the first graded cards I owned for this set. And that is arguably my favorite Sandy Koufax card from 1963. The year he won the National League MVP. He won the Cy Young Award. And it's just a great pose. I like the uniform that he had, Los Angeles, as opposed to the Dodgers. It's a great card, Sandy Koufax. This one, I know I won it on eBay. I will say, I honestly think on this set, I don't think I overpaid for anything, except maybe that damn Tom Trush card I showed you guys earlier. A Power Plus with Ernie Banks and Hank Aaron. Let's see. My very first Stan Musial card is the very last Stan Musial card, and that's his 1963 Topps card. And I had this prominently displayed on my display wall until the day I bought a 1953 Bowman of him. So this one now just goes into the regular display case. And here's another card I won in auction. I won the Maris. I won the the Yankee combo card with Mantle and Maris, or with Mantle, Tresh, and Richardson, and this guy, Eddie Matthews, in a PSA 6. I think I paid $28 for this. And like I said, I bought this card because it was way cheaper to buy graded. This one, Willie Mays, in a 4-point SGC 4.5. I really like this Mays card. He just looks great. Love the pose, love the uniform, love the cap, it's just great. It's a great card. Willie Mays, one of the greats, if not the greatest. Let's see. Another card I won relatively cheap, Yogi Berra. No plans to buy Yogi graded, but I found a graded card. Sometimes it's easier to buy a graded card than it is to find an ungraded card. I think people sell based on speculation that we're going to get the card graded, and they think they're selling you a PSA 7. I don't know, but this PSA 5 is fine. Next up, Ernie Banks. Same story. I couldn't find it ungraded at a good price. Found it at a very good price, graded, so I took it. Let's see. Hank Aaron in a 4. This was one of my This was like one of the last 10 cards I needed. The only thing I can tell you is I bought it at a good price. By the way, they have very nice backs here. I haven't shown off the backs. Hank slammed 3 homers in the 1957 World Series. These are very easy to read. Another guy got cheap, Whitey Ford. PSA 6. Oh, a card I bought ages ago, and I got a really good deal. And unfortunately now the card has dropped so much that my deal isn't as good. But I don't care. It's a Juan Marichal card, and he looks great. And it didn't cost me that much money. Juan Marichal on a 6. I'll never forget the day I decided to buy this card. This Ken McMullen card. I had been on eBay, and I kept going, why can't I find a 1963 Topps Ken McMullen? Finally just put it into a search engine, and this image popped up. I always remember texting my brother and saying, if I buy that Ken McMullen card, I have to buy the Pete Rose card. And at the time, this card cost me roughly $400. I think it's worth like 3 times that more. It's a comma card, I'll say that. It's one of my comma cards, but back then it was $400. I was like, ouch! And, it hurts, but it's a great card. It's a great card. Ken McMullen looks great. I know Yankee fans are buying this because of Pedro Gonzalez, and I'm sure there's a White Sox fan out there who's buying it for Al Weiss. So that's Pete Rose. I'm going to save that guy for last. Duke Snider. He is on the Mets at this point. He's still wearing his Dodgers uniform. Remember, we showed him off in Series 1 in a combo card with Gil Hodges. He was in a Dodger uniform. But by this point, he was officially on the Mets. And Duke looks a lot older by this point, 63. I think he has one more card in 64 on the Mets. Yeah, because I own that card. I do own that one. Here's another rookie. One of the last guys I needed, Willie Stargell in a 4. Willie Stargell, Pops. Good card to have. And hard to find centered. That's one thing about this set, I will say, is this is just a hard set to find good cards centered. So there's Stargell in a 4. And my very last card, I finally picked it up. A 1963 Topps Roberto Clemente. I wish Lou Rock was here so he could say it the way he says it with his wonderful Latino accent. He says Roberto Clemente, but he does it way better than I do. In an SGC 4, I just picked this up off of the PWCC auction a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you a story really quick. I was talking to Terry, TJ Mack, and he was telling me about, he brought up that I live by the Burbank store, and I asked him what he lived by out in his part of Western New York. And I hope I get this name right, Terry. It was Dave and Adam's World, I believe. And I forgot about that store because I did have it bookmarked on my in my computer. And after I spoke with him that night, I actually found it was either a PSA 5 or an SGC 5. And it was a good price. It was a fair price. It was either right at BCP or right under. And I go, I'm going to do this. Then all of a sudden, these guys a few days later sent me, Dave and Adam sent me a $25 off. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. And I procrastinated because while sometimes you guys might think I have the money to buy all these cards, I do have a budget, and I wanted to wait until I got paid. 5 days later, I got paid, and when I went to Dave and Adams, the card was sold. It had sat there for 2 weeks, and I didn't do it. So I was kind of kicking myself, but at the same time, I kind of said card wasn't meant to be, I guess. And the other day I was on PWCC, Sunday, like at 5 o'clock. The auction was closing in 2 hours. I saw this SGC 4. I said, let's be cheap about it. Let's see what happens. Because the current bid was low. I bid $90 and I won it for, no, I bid $100, but I won it for $88. Now, mind you, I could have gotten an SGC or a PSA 5 for $250 from Dave and Adams, and I settled for this 4 for less than $90. I'll take it. Last card of the set. But there is Roberto Clemente. Bob batted .310 in the 1960 World Series. So that's my last card. 1963 has been put to rest. I am completely done, thank God. I am so over it, but it was a fun set to work on. And I know I'll be back hopefully sometime this summer, finishing another set. But for now, we'll just leave it with 1963, guys. Thanks for sticking around this long. Have a great weekend. Take care.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game today. If you and I are out of dollars and cents,
Oh, honey, we can always share a little hole in the fence.
it's a beautiful